I'd like to welcome you to the next set of videos in the Monarchy of Israel series. And in this section, we're going to be looking at the Olivet Discourse and the Siege of Jerusalem. Okay, and what we're going to be doing here is kind of removing all the hazy interpretations that that is being thrown out there today and regarding these three chapters and stuff like that, because when you look at them clearly and when you look at them very carefully without any modern theology attached to it, you're going to see that the majority of these chapters, Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, is describing the generation that was present in Christ's and Jesus' time. Okay? And obviously there is also, when you look at these chapters, there is also a duality here, meaning that that there is excuse me, that there is a dual aspect of what Jesus is saying. But primarily this was an address to the church at that time, to the disciples at that time, and what was going to happen within that generation at that time that Jesus was on this earth. Okay. So in the next few videos we're going to be looking at this exclusively. We're going to be looking at a couple of historian writers, Eusebius mainly. We're going to look at a couple of accounts of Josephus, and we're going to kind of get the picture of what was going on during the last 7 years prior to the destruction of the temple. And these types of things, in which obviously, according to that generation, there is no time like that generation that happened, because it won't happen again, because what's going to happen now is going to be on a global scale. So it was a very, very traumatic time. It was a very it's a time that should not be forgotten, even though for the most part it has been forgotten, because really a lot of teachers and preachers today take the majority of Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, and just apply it to the future. Like for example, you see everything going on in the Muslim world, and they'll apply, when you see Jerusalem encompassed about with armies, they'll apply that portion there and apply it strictly to the Muslim world because of a state that was created in 1948. And folks, that's just not accurate. That's basically a futuristic plot that was derived from Jesuit doctrine. So we're going to go, what I'm going to do here in this first video is I'm just going to read Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. And then the following videos we're going to be going over basically almost kind of like a verse by verse. I would, if you have highlighters, I would suggest that you basically bring 3 color highlighters, if you're not afraid of marking your Bibles, if you're going to be reading from your Bible along with me, or make special notes, and you can go and search these things out for yourself. And then finally we're going to be looking at what the early church historians at that time, or roughly around that time, how they looked at this warning that Jesus gave to his followers and to the Jewish people. Okay? And we're going to see how that fits in. And you're going to see that, yes, there is portions of what Jesus is saying, because he's answering 2 or 3 questions here. When shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And these types of things. Well, the world there is translated as age, meaning the present period of time. So basically it's 2 questions that were being asked, and Jesus answers them going back and forth between these 2 questions. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, you'll see portions of Matthew 24 where it goes exclusively into the current generation of that time, Then you'll see him change subject and go into what's going to happen at the very end. Then he goes back, and he goes back and forth, basically. And you're going to see that, especially when I read these chapters without giving any explanation or whatever. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start off with Matthew 24. Actually, we're going to read Matthew 23, 33 through 39, because we're going to get the context of this generation that we're speaking of. So we're going to go from Matthew 23 through Matthew 24, 51. Ye serpents, you generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? He's speaking to the Pharisees, the scribes, the Sadducees, and these types of things. Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall you scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city. Okay? That upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias son of Barachias. So, this was the judgment pronounced on this generation, that all the righteous blood that was shed upon the earth starts from righteous Abel unto the blood of Zachariah. Okay? You know, that's why a lot of people, when they like to say Jerusalem is the mother of harlots, well, why didn't Jesus continue on instead of stop right there at Zacharias? Okay, so that's something you got to consider there. Whom he slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. Okay, and he goes on to say, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and you would not. So he's speaking of this generation. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate, and that has not changed today. It's still a desolate house. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. So how long is this house left unto them desolate? Until the second advent. Okay, because he says, You shall not see me henceforth, till you say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Okay. So now we go on, and Jesus went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And after we get done with 70 AD, I'm gonna play a radio interview. It's gonna be a 2-hour radio interview. I'm just gonna play that, and you're gonna see that this had an exact fulfillment. And you're gonna see that the Kotel and the Wailing Wall over there in Jerusalem is not part of the temple. It is part of an old Roman fort called Fort Antonia, but it is not part of the temple. Jesus said there would not be left here one stone upon another, and he meant exactly what he said. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Now we hear these two questions here. You see how Jesus said, See not all these things? Okay, so the disciples respond by saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So obviously you're going to see a sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. And that's what Jesus is going to explain here. The sign of thy coming preceding the second advent, and of the end of the world. And the world there is translated as age, which is specifically Jewish, a messianic period, which is present or future. Obviously this is talking about the present time in Jesus' time, so this is that messianic period according to Daniel 9. And it's a period of time. So this is basically what is in reference to. You know, basically at the end of this age, then you will see the sign of thy coming. It's going to be described at the end of the age. Okay? It goes on to say, And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. Obviously, you can see these things happening today, but this was also the flavor of the period during that time. The final 7 years preceding the destruction of the temple. And you're going to hear the eyewitness accounts to that here in future videos. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. And let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay, a lot of people like to take this verse and throw it right into the future and say that's what it means. Let them which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. There was a lot of cannibalism and famine going on in that time prior to the destruction of the temple. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. And if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even out of the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Now that's obviously talking about the second advent. So you can kind of see how he's going back and forth here. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass, till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, so again, you see the aspect of the current age he's in reference to. And you also see him talking about the end, the very end of time, the last moments of Earth's history prior to his second coming. So he's describing both things here. He's describing what's going to happen in this generation, the generation that is going to see the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, and he's also describing what's going to happen at the very end of time. Okay? And you kind of see him going back and forth on this. We pick up the same account in Mark chapter 13. Mark 13, 1 through... Well, it's the whole chapter, so 1 through 37. And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here? And Jesus answering said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? That's very interesting. You got a little bit of a different wording here. When shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Jesus answering them began to say, Take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And the gospel must first be published among all nations. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do ye premeditate, but whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. But when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand, and let them that be in Judea, there we go again, flee into the mountains. And let them that is on a housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, and pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And then if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all these things. But in those days, after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. There was a time of great tribulation that happened. And after this great tribulation is when you'll see the stars of heaven fall, the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken, then shall you see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. So again, you see the aspect of, and you can look at these passages and you can see dual. You can see things dual here. But you can't forget the aspect of these also had a fulfillment in 70 AD. Okay? But when you see the aspect of let those that be in Judea flee into the mountains and stuff, that had a one-time fulfillment, and that was in 70 AD. So again, you see the aspect of the fulfillment of a certain generation that is to come, or that is present at that time, and you also have everything happening throughout history up into the present time and into the future just prior to his return. Okay, that's what you have to realize here when you read Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So ye in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Take ye heed, watch and pray, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house, and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for you know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. Now let's look at Luke 21's account. And he looked up, and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting into their 2 mites. And he said, Of a truth I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of God, but she of her penury hath cast in all the living that she had. And as some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, As for these things which ye behold, the days will come, and the which that there shall not be left one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these things they shall lay their hands on you, and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but there shall not an hair of your head perish. In your patience possess ye your souls. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know the desolation thereof is nigh. And then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And he spake to them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be counted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. And in the day he was teaching in the temple, and at night he went out and emboldened the mount that is called the Mount of Olives, and all the people came early in the morning to him in the temple to hear him. So, those were the three accounts of the Olivet Discourse. Luke obviously has a different translation than Matthew and Mark, but basically the context is the same. You see references to the generation that is present at the time, and you also see aspects of a dual fulfillment. Okay, you had wars or rumors of war at that time, but you also, obviously, it's no stretch of the imagination, you can see what's going on, and you have that happening now. Okay, basically the aspect of the siege of Jerusalem and the house being left unto you desolate was basically the culmination of everything of the old covenant was to be gone, and that the new covenant was to take precedence, and that the old covenant will never be revived again. I think that is what the aspect of the whole destruction of the temple was. I think that that's what the aspect of the whole your house is left unto you desolate is for that simple aspect. Now, in the next couple of videos, we're going to go over, like I said, I'm going to highlight the areas where it clearly is talking about the siege of Jerusalem, 70 AD, and these types of things. We're also going to highlight areas that is talking about a dual type thing, meaning what happened then is the same thing that is happening now. And we're also going to highlight areas that's talking specifically future, meaning specifically the second coming. Okay, so you can look at these and say, okay, this, because again, the way Jesus answers it, if you're just basing everything that is what modern theology is teaching you, you're going to be confused when you read the whole chapter. Because it seems like he backs off of one subject, goes into another subject, and intertwines the original subject, and sometimes it can be a little hairy to understand. But if you really look at it carefully, and you separate everything out carefully, it's not that hard to understand. So he's just going back and forth, answering these two questions in a back and forth manner. Let's see, he'll answer one, he'll jump into the second question, and go back to the first question that the disciples asked him. That's what he's doing. So that's what we're going to basically do, is we're going to separate. We're going to separate the distinguishing marks of what was the fulfillment of 70 AD, and what is clearly future, and what is basically dual, meaning what is representative of then and now and the future. So until then, I hope this has been insightful, and I hope this has helped you, kinda, in a way. And until next time, truth be told, truth be known, stay safe, God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.